All right, for all of my pro wrestling fans out there, this was just a fun little video idea that I had. I wanted to share with you guys my top 10 greatest wrestlers of all time. A lot of these guys I had the opportunity to watch, so my top 10 is going to be different than your top 10. I'd have to really go back and look at video and do a whole lot of research to come up with a definite top 10. These are just guys that I saw, guys that I enjoyed watching, and I'm going to give you a reason for each and every pick as to why I have them in that position. So, number 10, the Great Muta. This is a guy that a lot of people have forgotten about. A guy that's still wrestling in independent shows today. This guy was lightning fast. He had the mist that he would shoot into people's eyes. This guy was very quick. He had some mat wrestling skills. Just really a good high flyer. Just an all-around great wrestler. Lightning quick. The Great Muta. If you've never experienced some of his matches, go look him up here on YouTube. Coming up in the number 9 slot, Steve Borden, better known as Sting. When Sting first started out, the guy really did have the total package. Here was a guy that grew up as a kid, not even a wrestling fan. This guy was a bodybuilder. His father had him into soccer. Football maybe a little bit, knew nothing about professional wrestling until the wrestlers started coming into his Venice Beach gym where he worked, and he started getting into it. But for a guy that had little to no knowledge of professional wrestling, he certainly made his mark in the business. This guy, he could mat wrestle a little bit. He had a tremendous amount of power and strength. This was a guy that could press slam Vader. Okay, Vader was over 400 pounds. This guy just all the way around, he really became a solid performer. Coming in at the number 8 slot, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And people might wonder, well, why do you not have him up there higher? Shawn Michaels, it had a lot to do with... It's got a lot to do with the fact that I think his mat wrestling ability was not as good as some. His power was lacking a little bit. A great performer, there's no doubt about that. Great off the top rope, very quick, had a lot of quickness. Pretty good promo capability. But his attitude is one of the reasons why I don't have him up higher. Had his attitude been better, especially back in the Attitude Era, I think he would have done even better for himself, but there's no question about it. The guy had some great athletic ability. Just a really great performer all the way around. Number 7, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. A lot of people have him up at the top. The reason why I do not is because a lot of Ric's repertoire was the same. You knew that Ric was going to be whipped into the ropes. He was going to fly over the ropes upside down, hit the apron, run across, the knee drops. A lot of his stuff was the same. Painted a great picture, a great story in the ring every time out. One of the best heels, if not the best heel wrestler that we have ever seen. Probably, in my opinion, the greatest promo ever. I don't think anybody could top Ric Flair today, yesterday. He lived his character. But due to his repeated repertoire of moves, I'm going to have to put Ric in the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. The reason I have him in this slot is because he was a pure wrestler. The guy had great mat skills and lightning fast speed. A lot of people forget about the speed that this guy had. He also had a great deal of strength, okay? Curt Hennig was a tremendous talent. Back injuries really held him back toward the end of his career. But Curt Hennig is somebody that I remember having some tremendous matches with the Hitman Bret Hart, even with a bad back. Just super solid wrestler, especially as Mr. Perfect. And even, before that, when he was younger, he was having great matches. The son of Larry the Axe Hennig. Coming in at number 5, I think anybody has to put this guy in their top 10. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. All the way around. This guy really had the total package. He could mat wrestle. He could fly. Great speed. Great quickness. Really light on his feet. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Some of his matches with Macho Man Randy Savage. Some of the best ever matches. Ever. WrestleMania, I believe, 2 and 3. You can go check those matches out. Some of the best you're ever going to see. Ricky Steamboat coming in at number 5. Number 4, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero was one of those guys that he had just an explosiveness, just power. Especially toward the end of his career, he really bulked up quite a bit, which is quite possibly one of the reasons for his death. He bulked up a lot, put on a lot of muscle, but he maintained that speed. And this is a guy that could high fly. This is a guy that could mat wrestle. Guy that did a lot of acrobatic type stuff, move reversals. This guy was great, Eddie Guerrero. Coming in at number 3, a lot of people are going to give me heat for even mentioning this guy's name, but if you're going to tell the story of professional wrestling, I don't think you can do it without mentioning Chris Benoit, the Rabid Wolverine. I'm going to put him at number 3 because of his overall ability. He could mat wrestle, he could fly, and he had tremendous, just like Eddie Guerrero, tremendous speed. Really, it's a toss-up between Eddie and Chris. Putting Chris at the top just because I feel like they were both ruthless in the ring. They could both really move, really mix it up. Putting Chris up just a slight bit above Guerrero just for his power ability. With the German suplexes, just some crazy stuff that the guy would do. Coming in at number 2, my all-time personal favorite, the Hitman Bret Hart. Now, a lot of people bash on Bret for the whole way his career ended with WWF at the time. Bret was one of those guys that did not like Shawn Michaels, or feel that he should have that title. And at that time, looking back, I don't think that Shawn was really ready to be champion. Physically, he was ready to be champion, but he didn't have... Shawn at that time did not possess the business-like attitude to be the champion. Getting himself into trouble where drugs are concerned, things of that sort. So looking back on it, I think Bret was... he was justified in his thoughts at the time. Now, granted, Bret took the contract, went to WCW, but any of us in that situation, we might have done the same thing. You got to take care of your family, and you got to do what's best for you. Coming in at number 1, a guy that was so far ahead of his time, a guy that was a mentor to Bret the Hitman Hart, also Chris Benoit, a guy that they idolized, just crazy quickness, acrobatic type moves, way ahead of his time. Number 1 slot, I got to give it to the Dynamite Kid. If you're not familiar with the Dynamite Kid, get on here, YouTube, and go look at some of his matches. You can find some matches between him and Bret Hart. Just constant movement, constant, just constant moves being performed, just great cardiovascular strength and ability, great power. Would later go on to tag team with the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith. One of the best tag teams ever, in my opinion. But the Dynamite Kid was, he was innovative. He could really do it all in the ring, and it's so far ahead of his time. And I think he paved the way for an Eddie Guerrero, for a Chris Benoit, Bret the Hitman Hart, guys like Chris Benoit. Just a tremendous athlete. So that's my top 10. You can let me know below what you think, or hey, do your own video. Let me know what you think, who your top 10 is all time. Had fun doing this video. If you like it, you can share it. Comment below. Let me know what you think, and as always, click on the bell to the right to be notified of all my future videos. And when I go live, we talk about pro wrestling and other things. Gonna be doing my next live stream here this Saturday night. It'll be 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Normally on Tuesdays, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're not able to join me, you can always shoot me your questions to righteousredneck777@yahoo.com. So, rest in peace to all these guys that are no longer with us, as well as the ones I didn't mention. Big part of my childhood growing up, and what they did in the ring will never be forgotten. So I know that they meant a lot to you guys as well that are pro wrestling fans. It's a shame to see so many of them gone. You guys take it easy. Let me know what you think.